All right, so this is all of the information I have to date and what our plan of action is. And so far, it's looking pretty solid. We are pretty confident in what we're doing, but only time will tell. So let's go over it really quick. So here's some things to consider. Kiara's entire little thing that we went over in the intro video. October 7th is when she went in for her surgery. Um, they found one tumor in her duodenal and two tumors in her liver that were removable. All the other tumors were too small to work on, so they were left behind. And we were told that the tumors had spread to her bile duct and it was causing her digestive problems. So Kiara was kept overnight to monitor her blood pressure and blood cell count for 4 days, and then we were finally able to bring her home on October 11th of 2024. And I will be redacting all doctors and veterinary hospitals' names to protect their privacy and their practice. They've been nothing but awesome, so I'm not going to throw them under the bus for not jumping on board and trying to help me find something to save her. And I get it. Like I said in the intro, like people are gonna say this is crazy. You're doing all this for a cat. Well, it means a lot to me, so that's why I'm doing it. All right, and then I added this little note to make sure that I didn't forget. Some of the treatments that we are doing is a guessing game at the time that we did them, and I'm telling you, do not just look at this video and just follow it word for word, because that's a bad idea, because we're doing this and we're learning as we go. So the more we do it as we go, the more things are going to change and make things safer and more effective for her, for Kiara, so that she doesn't get hurt. So at home, we began giving her the following treatments when we took her home from her surgery. She was given pain medication to assist her recovery, gabapentin and buprenorphine. If needed, we were also given mirtazapine, which is an appetite stimulant to help her eat more if she's struggling to eat. We also started giving her wet food with salmon for omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin B12, which is supposedly very, very good to help you fight cancer. She was also kept isolated to monitor her food intake and to keep her from fighting or wrestling, so that her stitches wouldn't open up when she played with the other cats. After 1 week, she returned to somewhat her normal self. She was eating, playing, she was very affectionate, she was doing well. And then oncology informed us that she does have carcinoma on October 21st. So about 10 days later is when we found out that her biopsy came back and said, yes, she has a pretty bad cancer. And that's when they gave her 2 months to live. As of October 22nd, we added the following to her at-home treatment. So the day after we learned what she had, this is what we started doing. We gave her immune system treats containing lysine, and she's getting 10 of those a day. We also started doing audio therapy. So she listens to audio therapy for the majority of the day. Kind of a superstitious thing, but you know what? When you're desperate, you'll take anything that might help. Salmon is her main source of food for the omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin B12, and the brand we're using for that was Shiba Cuts Creamy Salmon, which we decided to change later on, and we'll go over that. And then ivermectin will be administered every day in safe doses. Now, to make sure that it's administered in safe doses, we need to know this big piece of information right here. As we discussed in the previous video, an overdose is anything over 2.5 milligrams per kilogram, but that is for humans. That's for humans. So if Kiara weighs about 9 pounds or 4 kilograms, 9 milligrams or more of ivermectin is risking overdose. So we're going to keep it way below that. Signs of overdose include blindness, lack of coordination, also known as ataxia, lethargy, dilated pupils, upset stomach, and seizures. I didn't put seizures on here because as soon as you start seeing slight tremors in your cat, you need to be getting them to the vet immediately. They have overdosed. That's that's like you're deep into toxicity at that point. But the one I really want to talk about is lack of coordination and ataxia. That is the very first sign you will see that they took too much. So we'll go over that later too. So if they're stumbling around, if they're wobbly, if they're struggling to jump up onto surfaces like the couch or the counter or the table, they just can't seem to find their footing and they keep falling off. Yeah, get them to the vet immediately, or not immediately, but monitor them very closely at that point, because that is the first signs of overdose. And if you see anything slightly resembling tremors, that's when you need to, like, don't even hesitate, take her straight to the vet. Even if you see ataxia, I would say get her to the vet, depending on how severe it is. Like, if she can still walk and find her way and still jump up but stumble a little bit, it's not that bad. But as soon as she's like collapsing, she can't walk straight anymore, she's like basically drunk off her ass, that's when you need to get her to the vet, like, immediately. So we are going to make sure that we keep this within safe doses for a cat to make sure that this doesn't happen. It also should be noted that the half-life of ivermectin in cats is 2.5 days, because their liver processes it, and their livers are much, much better at processing stuff than ours. It actually holds on to more, I guess, chemicals and more nutrients for longer. That's why it's so effective. But the half-life of ivermectin, this means every 2.5 days, half of what was in her system will be processed and excreted. So if the first day you give it to her, she's going to have 100% of it in her system. And some studies say that they will absorb 95% of ivermectin and the other 5 will be passed. But it's going to have 100% in her system when she first takes it. 2.5 days later, 50% of it will be excreted, and she'll still have the other 50% in her system. Then 25% after 5 days will be left in her system. And then after 7.5 days, 12.5% will be left in her system. And then after 12 days, it's pretty much completely gone. So with knowing this information now, I would definitely start implementing the regimen where it's maybe giving her 3 milligram of ivermectin every 5 days. Because that way, as soon as it starts to get low, it gets refilled. But then you have to keep an eye on them, because if you give them 3 milligrams and there's still only 25% in her system, now she's going to be at 125% of what's in her system, which could be dangerous. But that's why we're doing this, because we want to see if it's effective, how much can they tolerate before it gets dangerous. So that's why we're doing safety first. So to play it safe, Kiara will take 3 milligrams of ivermectin once every 5 days by mouth. This is what the units would come out to. So if you're measuring in grams, it's 0.003 grams. But for most scales, when you weigh it, it'll be 0.03. So that still means milligrams, or 3 milligrams is 0.03. That's still what it will mean. But even though it's supposed to say 0.003, if it says 0.03, that's still 3 milligrams. So for Kiara, since she's 9 kilograms, this will equate to about 0.75 milligrams per kilogram. So this is right in between what we saw in the last video of what a low dose and a medium dose would be. It's right in between that. It's not a medium dose. It's not a low dose. It's a low to medium dose. And the reason we went with this number is because this dose is just under double what the dose of cats take for ear mites via external absorption by ear. Usually cats will take 0.4 milligrams of ivermectin by the ear to deal with ear mites. So they can handle up to 800, but that's when it starts to get scary. That's when it really starts to get scary, because we don't know how they're going to handle it. So we decided to go with this number because it's pretty much it's tolerable, and it's not it doesn't show very serious side effects, but it's right at the cusp of possibly risky, and just enough to where it's like the maximum amount they can take before they start getting sick. And just to be safe, we're going to monitor her very, very closely, since this is going to be taken orally and not by external absorption by her ears. And if you can't weigh it accurately, just take powder from a chopped up tablet and just dap your finger on it real quick and then swipe it across their tongue. Do not overdo it though. Don't fucking put your finger in that like it's fun dip and then have it shoved down her throat. Don't do that. That's just dangerous and stupid. So little tiny bits at a time, and you'll see how they react and if it's enough or too much. All right, and now on to what our up-to-date treatments are as of now. So the record of treatment is as follows, but the following record was a learning experience. I need to hit on this again. It was a learning experience. The information prior to what we just saw, so all this information up here, that was updated each day that we learned new information and discovered it. So the following treatment is a record for what we've done so far. So if anybody has questions as to what we did, we'll have something to present them. On October 22nd, 2024, after we found out the previous day that she had carcinoma, we decided to give her 2 milligrams of ivermectin. Just play it safe, give her a low dose. It was just about, because we didn't have the scale yet. So it was definitely under 3 milligrams, though, because it was the smallest piece from a 12 milligram tablet that we broke into quarters. And at 9:15, she showed a couple signs of exhaustion. She kind of laid down and put her head in her lap, but it wasn't anything serious. It wasn't alarming or anything like that. She just looked tired. 9:30, we gave her a small portion of catnip, trying to get her moving around, let it like cycle into her system. And by 9:50, she was showing more energy and playing with her toys and playing with us. 10:20, she starts eating wet food and drinks water by herself, and then basically went back to being a completely normal cat. And then 10:45, she jumped into bed with us, and same old girl, same old song and dance, and she was perfectly normal. All right, the next morning at 5 a.m., she seemed like her normal self. She ate a decent portion of her wet food, about 2/3 of a portion of Shiba Cuts, which was still not enough. We need her to eat that full portion, because otherwise it's not going to be able to sustain her weight. But at 7:30 p.m., Kiara ate 7 lysine treats, and we gave her another piece of ivermectin. And she handled the 2 milligrams very well, so we decided to go with 3.2 milligrams. And this time we did have the scale, so we were able to measure it. And you can get a scale on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. I think they're like $20 for a decent one. But yeah, so we gave her 3.2 milligrams of ivermectin. At 7:45, she was still energetic and curious, no lethargy or exhaustion whatsoever. And then 8 o'clock showed no change in behavior. She was just chilling. And 8:30, she's more playful and energetic. She wants me to throw her toys around. She wants to be pet. And we even gave her some catnip to help her get that energy out. By 9:20, we crawled into bed, and she immediately hopped in with us and passed out. Just, yep, I'm going to bed now too. And she was doing her normal routine: biscuits, purring, trying to find the best place to lay down. So very, very promising to see that kind of behavior right after surgery. All right, 5:15 a.m. October 24th, the next day. Overnight, Kiara ate some food, maybe half a portion of Shiba Cuts, which is even less than before, so we were starting to get worried about that. And then at 9 a.m., she had 2 lysine treats. At 7 p.m., we gave her 3.3 milligrams of ivermectin and 8 more lysine treats. She seems to eat them, but after a while, she starts to spit them out, like she doesn't want to finish them anymore, but she still eats them, just doesn't eat the whole treat. She bites into it, takes what she wants, and then just whatever falls out of her mouth, she doesn't even try to pick up. She seems to be way more aware and wanting more attention, purring loudly and giving very intense headbutts. And she also had a half a portion of wet food, and since she only had that other half portion earlier, we gave her some dry food to make up the difference. It was the generic brand of dry food. We don't want to give it to her. We think it might be a bad idea to give her crappy food because she's trying to recover and she needs really good nutrition. But she refused to eat even fresh cooked salmon. So she doesn't like the wet food. She doesn't like fresh cooked human food. So we need to find something that she really enjoys that's really healthy. So I looked online and I found a brand name called Raw Mix for cats. And we decided to go with the wild ocean flavor for the extra omega-3 fatty acids that are in it. Looking at it, it seems like an amazing idea for Raw Mix because they have all of their food sourced and you can actually look at where it came from, what's in it, what the nutrition is looks like, and it's almost entirely organic, so it's very healthy. But that won't come in for a while. October 25th, 2024 at 5 a.m. Kiara slept with us all night again, ate all of her dry food, but did not eat any of the wet food. So I tried to mix the wet food with the dry food to see if she'd eat all of it. At 9:20, Kiara ate a portion of wet food throughout the day. Kiara did not eat the dry food mixed with the wet food, so she either wants one or the other. She doesn't like it mixed. So we gave her 7 more lysine treats, and since she handled 2 days in a row of 3 milligrams of ivermectin, we decided to give her a 4.3 of that last piece of that 12 milligram tab to see how she handled it. And 10:30 p.m., she was very attentive, purring loudly and salivating lightly. So the salivating lightly she does every once in a while when she's very, very comfortable and happy and just super loud purrs. But that could be an indicator of what we saw on October 26th, 2024. 8 a.m., she slept through the night and she was cuddling us all night again. It's also wanted to note that her bowel movements have been rather small, but they look way more healthy than the ones she was having before when she wouldn't eat before we had her surgery. And she also seems to be gaining a bit of muscle back on her hips that was getting really slim before. So we're going to weigh her again and see if she's gained some weight back. At 9:30 a.m., we're letting Kiara roam around the house to stretch her legs and get out of her cabin fever in her isolated room. The other cats were also getting mad that she was getting all of our attention, so we wanted to calm them down a bit. But as soon as she came down the stairs, she immediately went for the crappy dry food that we buy, the generic brand. So she's hungry. She has an appetite. She just doesn't want wet food, and she doesn't want fresh salmon that we cook on the stove. So the other thing I noticed at 9:30 was she started to have some vertigo as her hind legs were a little wobbly now and then. I was hoping letting her explore and get some exercise would kind of like balance it out. But at 9:45, we definitely started noticing some weakness in her hind legs when she would try to jump onto the couch. And then by 12 p.m., she was showing signs of vertigo and weakness, which I assume was ataxia from the ivermectin we've been giving her. But she was sleeping very comfortably, and she was still eating a lot of that crappy dry food. By 12:30, she was sleeping comfortably and still aware of everything around her. She would follow my finger and even nudge my hand when I would pet her. So she could still see. She was very aware. She wasn't having any delirium or hallucinations. But we decided to stop administering ivermectin for at least 48 hours or until the vertigo ataxia completely disappeared. And by 2:50 p.m., after speaking with other vet services, we learned the half-life of ivermectin is 2.5 days. So that's why I was telling you, don't follow this regimen until you read the whole thing so you can understand where we went wrong, learn from our mistakes, and make the corrections like we did in the information at the beginning of this video. So we decided to stop administering ivermectin until Monday evening, October 28th, and move to 3 milligram doses every 5 days. October 27th, at 10 a.m., Kiara slept through the night again, ate a bit of the new healthy dry food that finally arrived. Never mind. That was a healthy dry food that I went out and bought from natural grocers just to see if it could hold her over until the good stuff got there. But yeah, she only had a little bit. She doesn't like it very much. But she also refused to eat the lysine treats that day and also refused to eat her favorite non-healthy treats, which was a bad sign to me because the only other time that she did this was when she had that mass in her duodenal. So really, bit of a scare for me. But She was still drinking a decent amount of water, and we also replaced her filtered water with extra filters that also filter out chloride and other chemicals just to be extra attentive and sure. At 11 a.m., Kiara is exploring outside of the isolated room again and showed no signs of ataxia at all. Her jumps in coordination were almost back to 100%. Not all the way there, but they were pretty close. She was almost completely back to normal. 12 p.m., Kiara's given half a dose of the appetite stimulant and some catnip. We're trying to get her to eat more. 12:45, we gave her some wet food on top of her dry food. She immediately ate the wet food and almost ate all of it, but she did not touch the dry food afterwards. So it's either one or the other with her. At 5 p.m., she finally ate some of the dried food, but it was mixed bad with a little bit of good. So the good stuff I sprinkled on top of the bad stuff so she would smell the majority of the bad stuff and still eat some of the good stuff at the same time. Then at 5:15, she still has small coordination issues when she would climb up on ledges slowly, but has improved a lot since yesterday. So she's no longer, her hind legs are no longer missing their mark anymore. They were landing where they were supposed to, but every once in a while, only one leg would land where it was supposed to, and her other leg would slip off. But the day prior, she was really struggling with both of her back feet. It was like she could not figure out where they were supposed to go when she was trying to land somewhere. So huge improvement, and it was almost completely back to normal. And then by 9:20, all of it was gone. Her ataxia was completely gone. She was having absolutely zero issues with her foot placement and landing where she wanted to land. And we gave her some more wet food in the room, and she immediately started eating again. It should be noted that she seems to be gaining weight, so we will weigh her in the morning to make sure. October 28th. This was yesterday. Today is the 29th of October. At 9 a.m., Kiara slept and ate some food, and she showed pretty good coordination. It seems like she's gotten past all of her ataxia. At 10:30, Kiara was taken in for an oncology appointment. She weighed in, and she was exactly 4 kilograms. But that was lower than we hoped, but you can definitely tell she's getting her muscle back. So she probably weighed even less than that when we first started. So seeing her weigh 4 kilograms is not the best, but we're getting closer. At 11 o'clock, the oncologist seemed to be open to the possibility of treating her with ivermectin that they can prescribe to us in the proper doses. We won't know for sure until a later date when she can talk to us about her possibly being a chemo patient. But after hearing that she told us 20% chance that she'll have a good response to chemo, I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the pain that she's going to go through for it. The oncology report showed no signs of cancer for the mass in her duodenal, and they don't know what caused the puncture in her intestines. This was a huge relief, but it's probably just an extension of the cancer that it was in her liver, just spreading out into her duodenal from her liver. So it's nothing to be like super excited about. But according to them, they think something she ate may have caused the puncture and then moved past that puncture, and then she passed it. But the biggest thing they told me was like the worst thing I ever have to tell people is we couldn't find it. So if they couldn't find it, it's either a good thing or a bad thing. It's still in there somewhere or it's gone. So we're hoping it's gone. And with her most recent bowel movements, it seems like, yes, it most likely is. She's having pretty healthy bowel movements again. But you never know. So they took another ultrasound to be extra sure. And all of her blood work and tests came back normal and healthy. Even her liver levels were good. So that's also encouraging. At 4:45 p.m., the ultrasound found fluid in between her skin and tissue where her stitches were. So they told us that she needs to be kept in an even smaller room with no ledges, no nightstands, no counters, nothing that she can jump onto. And she needs to finish the gabapentin that they gave us so that she's 100% relaxed the entire time. And she's not moving around, doesn't want to move around. She's just chill, almost like she's smoking weed all day or something. So we're still waiting on full ultrasound report back, and we're hoping to get that tomorrow. Not tomorrow the 29th, tomorrow the 30th. At 5 p.m., Kiara's happy to be home, but she's extremely less talkative and more distant. But they also said they gave her a mild sedative to do the ultrasound. They told us that she was going to be a bit quiet and more distant. Then Kiara's new food finally arrived, the healthy good stuff, the raw mix. And after 30 minutes, she started to eat it, and she absolutely dove into it. She was shoving her face down into her bowl. She absolutely loved it. So that was very, very encouraging because she was hungry and she wanted to eat. And then 10:30 p.m., we gave some more gabapentin to Kiara as instructed. Today, October 29th, at 5 a.m., Kiara ate an entire bowl of her new dry food overnight, which is a massive increase from what she used to eat. She used to sleep next to the owner. She slept next to her owners and began cuddling them sometime in the night. So when I say a full bowl of dry food, it's your basic standard cat bowl. And I'm about 6'1". My hands are pretty large, so I just take a handful out of the bag and put it in her bowl. So it fills it up 2/3, maybe a little bit more than 2/3 of the bowl. But she ate the whole thing, and that was big. And then the oncologist emailed me to inform me that treating Kiara with ivermectin is too risky for her to condone, as I was saying earlier, which I totally respect. I completely understand. I was just hoping that maybe, given the circumstances and our consent, she would want to work with us to see if this actually does help and could even be used as something for other people to learn from in the future. But as of right now, that's a no-go. They aren't going to help us. So we're on our own. Earlier today, about, I think it was 2:30, maybe 2:30, she received more gabapentin, and she's doing quite well. She's sleeping it off quite a bit, and she gets up and goes over to her bowl and grazes every once in a while, but I don't think she's got the energy to like really sit down and eat an entire meal with the gabapentin in her system. Other than that, that's all we're at for today, and we're going to keep documenting everything, keep recording everything, and starting to, not tonight, but I think on Friday, no, it will have been 3 days today, so Thursday is when we will give her some more ivermectin and go from there. Right now, she should still have just under half of what we gave her in her system. I might give her a little bit tonight. I don't know yet. I haven't made a decision because if we're going by the half-life information that we got, after 3 days, it's maybe somewhere around 40% is still in her system. So I don't know if I want to increase that back to 100% plus, or if I just want to wait it out and get some in her system after it's at 25%. But we'll see. I will definitely update you guys with future videos and see where it goes from there. All right. Well, I hope this was informational, and as I said before, I'm not dissing any of the veterinary doctors or veterinary hospitals or anybody who calls me crazy. Like, I understand. So this is where we're at so far with our research, and we're going to keep going. All right.